everybody? Welcome aboard here, Sports Talk Nation. It is the tale of two different cities. As the Yankees right now sit at 5-0, the Mets a woeful 0-4. Let's get right into it. So, folks, we have two teams here in New York. We are now just a week into, not even a week into the 2024 baseball season. And already we have two teams going in polar opposite directions. And you have to begin to wonder, especially with regards to the Mets, what is really going on here. We'll get to them in a minute because right now I'll quickly start with the Yankees because they right now sit here at 5-0. And everything right now is going right for New York. And the big reason for that is because of, well, Juan Soto. He has been incredible since joining this team, and this past week, we have seen a guy just take the bull by the horns and just run with it here for the Yankees. Right now, he is hitting at 450, has a home run, 4 RBIs, has 13 total bases, has an OPS of 1.210, not to mention had maybe one of the biggest throws of the season so far in the first week as he gunned down a potential tying run at the plate against the Houston Astros as the Yankees won the opener by a score of 4-3 that day. And really, when you think about it, and you think about what the Yankees have been missing over the last several years, they've been missing that kind of player who brings a little bit of swagger, brings a little bit of arrogance, and also finds ways to come up big in the clutch. And that has been the case here for the Yankees so far here in 2024 because Juan Soto has been clutch. He, of course, not only had the big throw on opening day, had the 2-run home run on Saturday in a game that was tied at 3. Then on Sunday has the game-winning base hit to get the Yankees a victory against the Astros as they sweep that 4-game series. He was the difference. He is the difference for the Yankees here to start the 2024 season. And it's really rubbed off on the young players. Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, Oswaldo Cabrera, all of them have been playing very well here at the start of the season here for the Yankees. And these are 3 players among many young players the Yankees have coming up through their farm system. Saw these guys down in Double-A Somerset. You knew that something was coming here for the Yankees, that something big was coming, and these guys are now starting to produce. And I know it's early in the season. We got a long way to go, but they are producing in big spots. Anthony Volpe had 4 hits against Arizona the other day. Then you have Cabrera, who is hitting at an even 400, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, had a big RBI against the Diamondbacks on Monday night. Austin Wells, in spite of the fact he's hitting 222, still finds ways to move runners along the base paths, also finds ways to get on base himself via the walk. He has done a nice job. So here are 3 players who are playing exceptionally well to start the season for the Yankees. And look, there's more on the way. We saw them coming up through Somerset. There's more coming up through Somerset, and obviously eventually to AAA. Guys like Spencer Jones, Ben Rice, there are more on the way. And let's not, of course, forget Jason Dominguez, who was out for the season, of course, after that arm injury that he suffered last year. So they got a lot coming, and that's what makes the Yankees very scary. And also, we add Juan Soto into the mix. It makes them a very tough lamp to face. Now, all of this is masking the one problem for the Yankees is this. A lot of their clutch guys, a lot of their big guys just aren't hitting right now. Now, Aaron Judge right now hitting only at 143. Alex Verdugo is hitting at 167. Giancarlo Stanton hitting at 176. Anthony Rizzo hitting at 222. If it weren't for Soto and if it weren't for these young players hitting well, that's all we would be talking about right now is the fact that Judge and Stanton and Verdugo, for example, aren't hitting the baseball with much authority at all to start the season. So they have masked that problem. And, of course, right now the Yankees sit here very pretty at 5-0. They get that huge sweep against the Astros and a good start in a series against Arizona, the defending NL champions. So they have to be feeling pretty good about themselves. Granted, it is their best start to a season at 5-0 since 1992. It does not necessarily guarantee postseason success down the road, but it gives you an indication of how dangerous this Yankee team can be moving forward through the course of this season if they have all things clicking on all cylinders. Now, as for the Mets, it has been a woeful start. 0-4 as we sit here right now, as they're trying to find a way to get off the schneid. You would imagine they're going to get off the schneid here against Detroit and get at least one victory, but the big problem for the Mets is this. They can't score. They can't do anything offensively. Only 8 runs the Mets have scored here to start the season through the first 5 games. That is tied for the worst run production in Major League Baseball with only the Chicago White Sox, who've also scored only 8 runs this year. The Mets as a team are hitting 188, which I believe is 28th in the league. They're also next to last in hits so far this year. Only the White Sox and the Twins are worse. The Mets have 25 hits. Those two teams have 21 hits apiece. So it's not been very pretty to watch this offense at all this year. And the guys that the Mets need to hit and hit well have really struggled. Francisco Lindor coming into Tuesday's action hitting 063. Jeff McNeil 083. Brandon Nimmo 063. Harrison Bader 200. Pete Alonso a very quiet 267. No one has really gotten going here right now, and they look sluggish. They look confused. You're seeing guys take uppercut swings at the plate. Everyone's trying to hit a 3-run home run when they're going up there. It's not a good approach, and that's the big problem for the Mets. So everyone got on Buck Showalter last year, blaming him for everything, all the Mets' ills. But let's be honest right now. Everything that we're seeing so far through the Mets through the first 5 games feels very familiar to what we've seen not just last year, but even in September of 2022 when things started to fall apart that season. Very similar. Lackadaisical play, kind of a malaise in the ballpark. Only 20,000 people in the ballpark that last night against Detroit. It just does not feel good. And not to mention, Carlos Mendoza. Look, the jury is going to be on Carlos Mendoza all year about whether he can be a major league manager. But there have been signs that this is a guy right now learning on the job. You take a look at the lineups for the most part, you're seeing. And this is what's got to really frustrate me. I don't know if it's his decision-making. I don't know if it's necessarily David Stearns or somebody else in the front office when it comes to constructing a lineup about who's here and who's not here. But while I understand why J.D. Martinez cannot be here with the team because he needs extended spring training, having signed late, why isn't Mark Vientos up here to be the DH for this team right now? That's the question I have. The Mets, sent him down before the season started, which to me made no sense. And now you're looking at guys like DJ Stewart and Joey Wendell and Tyrone Taylor. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. And then when you have a lineup construction of guys like when you're seeing hitters that shouldn't be batting in the cleanup spot, no offense to Jeff McNeil, he's more of he should be batting maybe second or first or second in this lineup for the Mets, not batting fourth. Should be someone like Francisco Alvarez who should be higher in the batting order for the Mets. And in last couple of days, he has been higher in the lineup, but that has to change. To mention the whole situation with Rhys Hoskins, the Mets decided to throw at him 2 hours too late, as was pointed out by Ron Darling and SNY when the Mets tried to retaliate against him for the hard slide into McNeil on the first game of the season. That also falls on the manager for not just telling his guys, look, let's just hit this guy right now and get it over with. So it's been a learning process for Mendoza. We have a team that's right now lackadaisical that just looks like they're out of it. And then the pitching, as we feared, was going to be a problem. And so far, it is. You take a look at the Mets pitching right now as we saw Luis Severino get lit up the other day. We saw Jose Quintana struggle with his control. Even though he didn't give too many runs, he did struggle with his control that day. Tyler McGill struggled with his control, left with a shoulder injury. He's now on the IL. Only Sean Manaea has pitched well, took a no-hitter into the 7th inning against Detroit. So the pitching has been a suspect problem for the Mets, and it remains just so suspect and a problem for the Mets moving forward. So the last time, and I know it's early in the season, folks, we got a long way to go. Last time the Mets started 0-4. Was 2005. Now, there was some hope on that team. We knew it was coming up in 2005. We knew what the Mets had. The Mets had Wright, they had Reyes, they were on that team in 2005. They had just signed Pedro Martinez and Carlos Beltran. We knew that something big was coming down the road, and it was the following year in 2006 when the Mets went to the National League Championship Series. Now, as we all know, the Mets probably should have gone to the World Series that year. Didn't work out. As we all know, they lost to the Cardinals in 7 games of the NLCS, but the fact is, you knew something big was coming. Even 2014, when the Mets were 0-3 to start that year, you knew, of course, the pitching with DeGrom and Harvey and Syndergaard, that something was coming, and it was the following year in 2015 when they went to a World Series, a stunning run there. I don't know what's coming right now for the Mets right now. It feels like a team that is at a crossroads. We hear about Jet Williams. We hear about Luis Angel Acuna and Christian Scott and Blake Tidwell. All these guys coming up through the system, but we're still probably months away from seeing whether these guys can contribute at the major league level. And until then, this could be a team that's going to be very much out of it and trying to figure out who they really want to be moving forward. We knew this was going to be a tough season. We knew this was a transition year. I don't think anyone expected it to be this ugly coming out of the gates here in 2024. And if that continues, there's going to be some major changes made by David Stearns and company to try to move this team forward beyond this season. Because with the schedule coming up, the Mets play the Reds coming up this weekend. The Braves, 4 games down in Atlanta next week. You got the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Cardinals coming up later this month. The Mets could find themselves buried in the National League East and in the National League very, very quickly. And all that Met fans are going to have to look forward to is going to be the NFL draft on April 27th and then the NFL schedule release 2 weeks later. Yankee fans have to be feeling pretty good about themselves right now at 5-0, but again, it's a very fast start, an early start for them. The Met fan has to be concerned, very concerned, about where their team is going right now. So, folks, like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts below. Tell me how you feel right now about the way things are started here in the 2024 season. We'll talk to you next time.